Hi, Happy New Year. So I wanted to give a quick class about something that we learn from the Midrash, that we learn from redemption, and that we learn from the power of women. So there's a Midrash that says two things. Actually, there's a lot of things. One, that the current souls that are in existence right now, specifically within the Jewish nation, are the same exact souls that left Egypt, because we're in the Messianic era. Two, we learn that the coming of Mashiach, that the final redemption of the Jewish people, is on the backs of Jewish women. How do we know this? There's several reasons, but I'm going to comment on two. So the first is that when in Egypt, before the first Exodus, we know now that our current exile is kind of going to be a similar redemption, is going to be kind of like Exodus, because right now people living in exile need to be redeemed and they need to be freed from the slavery that is assimilation and distance from God and the Jewish nation and their souls. So one, we learn that when in Egypt, the people were so downtrodden, specifically the men. They were tired, they were carrying bricks in brutal heat, they were under horrible, horrible conditions, and they did not want to continue the Jewish people. We even learned that Moses' father, did not want to have more children, and Miriam, this tiny little girl, had a prophecy that her little brother Moses was going to be an incredible, incredible human being. And she said to her father, she said, what you are doing by withholding from having more Jewish children is no different than what Pharaoh is doing. Pharaoh is killing the Jewish babies in the Nile. What you're doing by withholding my mother from becoming pregnant is no different. So the women in Egypt would beautify themselves. They would go out into the when their husbands were working, and they would seduce them, and they would do what they needed to do to continue the Jewish nation when all hope seemed lost. So that's one. Two is we learn from Miriam, again, the amazing, amazing prophetess, that she was so determined and so faithful that God would redeem the Jewish people from Israel, that she ordered all of the women to bring instruments in order to leave Mitzrayim, in order to leave Egypt. So there's this infamous, kind of picture of women dancing with tambourines, and if you look up redemption, that's something that comes up, because music is a huge, huge aspect of freedom, of celebrating, of coronating God as king, of playing drums, playing trumpet, playing guitar. Music brings us joy, and it's good to serve God with joy. So why am I talking about this? So every Jewish woman has a different role to play in the world. Some Jewish women are wives. They, like many of our foremothers, have trouble with fertility, have trouble bringing children into the world. So although they're married, perhaps their role in Jewish womanhood is being a leader in their community, or with the maybe smaller family that they do have. They are more committed to whatever their family's needs are. And then of course there are women who have, thank God, beautiful big families, and they serve the needs of educating their children in Torah, teaching them to not stray, to love God with all of their heart, with all of their soul, with all of their resources, sending them to a Jewish school, protecting their souls from, Egypt, from everything that the world is trying to, strip our Jewishness from us. And then there are women like myself and like many of my friends who are single, who aren't in a marriage, who aren't yet mothers, and yet we learn from this amazing lady named Gila Mandelson that she says that femininity is so deep, that this maternal instinct within women is so deep, that women will naturally find a way to be givers. If they don't have their own babies, if they don't have their own children, they'll find a way to nurture their friends. They'll find a way to nurture those in their community. They will build up other people around them. So in that, we are really in the Messianic era. We see it in so many ways. This is just kind of a way to encourage women coming into the new year, specifically all the single ladies, to not rush into, a part of our mission and a part of our purpose is very much to get married and, God willing, have children and build them up and build up strong Jewish men and strong Jewish women. But it's also really important to do what we can now with the opportunities that God has presented to us, and build up those around us, and keep giving Torah, keep putting goodness and truth into the world, to really tap out the darkness with light and with godliness, so that it can really shine when the Messiah comes, and it will be so evident that the truth is the truth, that we will be like our ancestor Miriam, in that we encouraged those around us, and we confidently danced into the Holy Land, or we confidently danced into whatever opportunity God has presented us, with so much faith, with the tambourine, knowing that God promised to redeem the Jewish people. God promised to bring his nation back to the Holy Land. God promised that he would never, ever, ever abandon us, that our relationship with him would never be severed. So it must be that we will be returned, that the Jewish people will come back to Israel, that we'll be reunited, and that the exile will ultimately end forever. So have a beautiful new year. Go ladies, all the single ladies, all the ladies in the club, have a great new year, and have strength, confidence, inspiration to elevate all the opportunities that God gives you. Be a rock star, and Happy New Year.